Hello and welcome into the KE Report. Shad and Corey here, getting an update on Guanajuato Silver. Guanajuato Silver is traded on the TSX.V under the ticker GSVR and on the OTCQX under the ticker GSVRF. And we're joined today with the CEO of Guanajuato Silver, James Anderson. And James, always great to get you on the show for an update. And we're going to do something a little different today. We normally get into the meat and potatoes of the operations at all the different mines. But today we're really going to focus on a high level as the exploration that the company has been undergoing at a number of the mine sites. And you do have a plan and a process in place to update the resources at all of the mines over the course of the next year or so. But you put out some news at the very end of last week that you have updated the mineral resource at El Cubo. And this is one of the flagship assets for the company. I won't steal your thunder, but just one key takeaway that I noticed right off the top is that there's been a big increase to the inferred mineral resources within this, and also a pretty nice indicated material considering the mining you've done there the last 3 years. So walk us through some of the nuts and bolt metrics in this updated resource at El Cubo.
Great. Well, there's lots to unpack there, Shad. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody. The resource has expanded significantly, as you said. And I think let's just back up a second. This is part of a program that we have to update all of our resources at all of our mine facilities in Mexico. We started this last year with an update on our mine San Ignacio. When we look back there, we had an increase of 130% in the measured and indicated categories, and an increase of 283% in the inferred categories. So you can see pretty dramatically how our new approach to exploration has increased the resources and will continue to drive resource growth and production forward. Over to El Cubo, but we inherited the resource from the previous operator, and that resource was then built into a PEA, which we had done by Bear Bear. And, we've mined a significant portion of that material that was in place in that resource, but we've also added a big number. So over that period of time, over the last 3 years that we've been mining at Cubo, we have a decline of 23% in the indicated category, but an increase to 35 million silver equivalent ounces, an increase of 85% in inferred. One thing that I think that is also really important for your listeners to understand, because we're mining these narrow, high-grade veins in Mexico, it's difficult to drill an amount to be able to convert these resources into measured and indicated levels of confidence. So we've got a much larger number of tons in the inferred category, and that's a lot of the stuff that we mine, frankly. So that increase to 35 million silver equivalent ounces at Cubo, we think is significant, and it also leads to targets for future exploration, which we will start at Cubo in January.
So, James, make sense of this then, this big increase in the inferred resources. If it's hard to move those into indicated, then what work do you do to bring them more into a mine plan in the near term?
Yeah, so additional drilling, certainly, and moving them towards indicated levels of confidence. Whether that works its way into a new resource estimate, though, Corey, I'm less certain about that. We may well be mining a lot of that material as we elevate our confidence level, and that turns into mine plans very quickly for us.
Yeah, James, I was just going to ask you that because you're not a development company that's trying to market the project to get taken over or to get more investors on board. You actually are developing these resources so that you can mine them. So is it possible that some of these never get converted to indicated because you just go right into mining?
Yeah, exactly. And there's certainly, different examples of that at El Cubo that are, sort of front and center for us. The San Luis vein system, that vein was identified by Endeavor prior to them selling the mine to us. However, because it's a transverse vein, it's kind of running in a perpendicular direction to the main northwest trajectory of most of the veins. Because of that, they didn't pursue it. We identified this as a major important vein. We've been drilling it and mining on it. A lot of the work that we're going to be doing in 2025 is to gain more confidence in this vein system through drilling and an extension of the vein, where we will be doing more, real live exploration work. But that much more quickly than other mining companies, we will drill, develop, and mine that material.
So regarding this updated resource too, the inferred grade came down more to what the indicated grade is of these ounces. Is there any way that we can work out the economics of what these newly added ounces could be for the company if you are going to be mining them in the relatively near term?
Well, we've got cutoff grades at Cubo of about 155 silver equivalent grams per ton. So if that helps.
Well, and James, another factor is that since indicated is 283.9, so let's just say 284 grams per ton silver equivalent, and the inferred is 298.5, so almost 300 grams per ton silver equivalent. It looks like you have a healthy balance, though, between the silver and the gold. A lot of times we talk about silver companies really being base metals companies, being mostly weighted to lead, zinc, and copper with a little bit of silver. In this case, you got a healthy, almost 50-50 mix of gold and silver here. So maybe walk us through how the economics would change if we see a jump in the silver price. How much more important did the silver part of that become than the gold portion if we see silver back in the mid 30s next year?
Yeah, all great questions. All the mines in Guanajuato, so our three mines at El Cubo, Valenciana, and San Ignacio, there's really no base metals. It's all silver and gold, and more or less, as you point out, kind of 50-50 in terms of revenue for us. So that's helpful. We think. Can silver spike? Because the numbers that we're talking about really are pertaining to an 85-1 silver to gold ratio in terms of the value of the metals. I continue to believe that silver can go higher on a proportionate basis to gold. That would help us significantly. As you guys know, our debt is denominated in gold, not in silver, because we wanted to have that exposure to the silver price. So we continue to look for a spike in silver in the months ahead, in the pricing of silver in the months ahead, vis-a-vis gold. Perhaps both of them can go up at the same time, but we still think that silver will become more valuable in that way. In terms of the veins within the Guanajuato district, they are extremely variable, and you'll have pulses of mineralization that are silver rich, you'll have pulses of mineralization that are gold rich. And the variability is enormous. So, sometimes you hit pockets of high grade gold and less silver, and sometimes vice versa.
So, James, one question that we get a lot on this company, especially as you continue to drill, expand these resources, even the news release says that exploration expansion potential remains high and you will be continuing to drill into next year. Will you be able to self-fund this, or are you going to have to go back to the market to fund this ongoing exploration?
No, I think if you look at our news releases pertaining to our cash flows in the last couple of quarters, we've got 2 quarters in a row of mine operating profit. And the company's come a long, long way since we first bought El Cubo 3.5 years ago. So the short answer is yes. The funding for exploration is contained in our budgets. And I mean, with all candor, I'd love to see our exploration budget higher than it is, but we've only got so many resources to work with. We'll continue to drill at all four of our mines in 2025. The Cubo portion of that will start in January, and we've signed an exploration drill contract with a local drill contractor.
Well, and James, just on that larger vision of the exploration for the company, we had touched on this briefly last time, but I think it's worth reiterating that just in November last month, you put out a couple good press releases on the exploration at the Pinguico project. That was mostly at the Pinguico vein and San Jose vein, but you did intersect that mother vein, Veta Madre. And then you also had some news out last month that you had some drilling success at the Valenciana Mines complex near the Cata Mine and Mill, actually really close to the mill. So maybe give us an update on just the drilling that your team has been busy on last month as well.
Yeah, and I guess just to fill out that picture, we do have our own drills that are owned by Guanajuato Silver operating at Valenciana and at Topia on, kind of a continual permanent basis. We hope to be able to have that situation at San Ignacio later in the year as well. In terms of the exploration success that we have had, let's start at Valenciana because again, that's very immediate to our vision towards accelerating production in an area of the mine that's really right in the middle of this 450-year mine complex, but in the hanging wall of Veta Madre. And the more narrow structures that exist there have very good grade. You saw one of the intervals that we were quite excited about, a little bit over 3 meters and almost 500 grams silver equivalent. That's a really good width and a very good grade for us. We intend to be able to pursue that and drill extensions of that interval here in the next several months. We've also had some good luck just recently turning the drill rig around from its location and drilling in the opposite direction and encountering additional veins still in the hanging wall of Veta Madre. So lots there. We've got all kinds of different targets at Valenciana. Over to Pinguico for a minute. Earlier in the year, we drilled several different drill holes into extensions of the Pinguico and San Jose vein, getting good grades over good widths. And then this other exciting, much more conceptual target that we have of where the Pinguico system and Veta Madre come together. And it's something that I've been talking about for several years. We've only managed to drill a couple holes towards it. This drill hole encountered 60 meters of highly altered Guanajuato conglomerate, which is a good host rock in the area. That material, is what we want to see as this structure plunges to the west towards the Pinguico system. Within that, there was about a meter and a half of half a gram of gold. I mean, it's sub-economic, it's interesting, but I think within that package, that 60-meter package of rocks, that's really interesting. And we would hope that as that structure drives towards Pinguico, there will be a spot where hopefully that 60-meter structure can continue, but the whole thing can be mineralized in an economic manner.
So, James, when it comes to the overall program here, can you share with us the overall size of the program, how you're going to be allocating it, just a bit more of a summary of the ongoing exploration?
We haven't finalized our budgets for 2025 just yet, Corey. So I'm not exactly sure. However, the opening contract, this is just the first contract that we've got with this local contractor, will be for 3,500 meters of drilling at Cubo. That contract is almost, positively going to grow. We are in the process of searching around for another drill that we can purchase and have our own drillers be drilling at San Ignacio on an ongoing basis. In that moment, we will have drilling taking place at Topia, San Ignacio, Valenciana, and Cubo on an ongoing basis throughout 2025.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there for today, James. But it sounds like lots of drilling going on at all the projects and lots of updates to come. And we'll be looking for updated resource estimates at some of the other projects in the year to come as more drilling news comes into the market. The big update here on El Cubo looks like you got a nice bump to the inferred category, and that should extend the mine life. So lots of good things coming together for Guanajuato Silver. And if people want to follow along with all the news flow coming out of G Silver, definitely click on the link below this interview. It takes you over to the Guanajuato Silver website, straight to their news section, where you can sign up for updates or just follow along as the news is released to the market. James, keep us posted. We'll get you back on in the new year for an update, and looking forward to our next conversation.
Thanks very much, gentlemen. Happy holidays to everyone.